Saints Triumphant Sunday, the Monday after. This is Pastor Nate Fager. I thought I'd start doing this and share a little bit of reflection from what we talked about yesterday. Saint being a believer, anybody who has faith in Jesus, but specifically somebody who is holy, not by anything they do in themselves. The gospel talked about Jesus who uses his voice to call from death to life, referred to both the first resurrection and our second resurrection. First resurrection being your spiritual resurrection from spiritual death to spiritual life. Not your choice, the result of the voice of Jesus. That's John 5, the lesson toward the end of the Gospel of John, the chapter, about verse 25. He calls from death to life, his voice. I think that's so amazing how to hear his voice has such amazing power. Yeah, I can shout into a coffin all day, every day, at a dead body, and nothing's going to happen. Even scientists today can't produce life. They can't take something that's not alive and make it alive. But God can. That's a miracle every time it happens. Your second resurrection being your resurrection from the grave physically when Jesus comes on Judgment Day. That too, a miracle. I sit across the street from a cemetery and another one over about 200 yards that way. And I tell people this is going to be a party come Judgment Day. Everybody's coming out of their tombs and everybody's going to see Jesus. We're going to hear his voice for the last time when he brings from that death to life. What a blessing. So what does that mean? Is that the only time you hear the voice of Jesus? At the beginning of faith, maybe when you were baptized as an infant? And then at the end of time, when he calls you from your grave? Is that all you hear the voice of Jesus? For some people, that's it. When he speaks in his word, it doesn't come to your ears. I say too, coming to have a daily devotional life, that's a hard thing. And that's a habit. And more often than not, the evil habits are what are so more appealing. If I could spend 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes before bed, it makes a difference in my life. It does. Even from 1 week when I'm doing it to the next week when I'm not, it makes a difference. The voice of Jesus, such power. Just words, ink on paper, but it's how God speaks to you today. It's the voice of Jesus that commanded the dead bodies to rise. Lazarus, Jairus' daughter. It's the voice of Jesus that tells to repentant sinners, go in peace. Your faith has made you well. You get the voice of Jesus speaking words of compassion to multitudes of people who came to him like sheep without a shepherd, and what? That voice is alive in my life, and what a blessing. We'll never be perfect at hearing that voice. We've got imperfect ears, but we're saints. We're saints who triumph in this world because the voice of Jesus is active. It's speaking today. Even when evil is speaking over, what happened in Paris, that is evil's voice. Screaming, loud and clear. People hear that. And everybody says, well, let's pray for France. Yeah, pray for France. Pray for the people who lost loved ones. Pray for everybody who's lost a loved one. They mourn, they cry, they never get over that. It's never back to normal. It's a new normal. But to hear the voice of Jesus in the face of all the voices of evil, that doesn't change. And if anything, it's going to continue. Voices of evil, that one day will be silenced. And when Jesus comes to use his voice to call us from our graves, and there's going to be this party here across the street in my neck of the woods, it's going to be awesome. Because evil will be silenced. The voice of Jesus, it's a voice to hear and to obey. To be a part of your life from your first resurrection to your second resurrection, all the way through, to drive out the voice of evil. Thanks for listening.